Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how I got into UBC and actually sitting down with you guys and reading out my personal profile and all the essays that I wrote in the application process. I'm going to be talking about my extracurriculars. I'm going to be talking about how I wrote my essays in a way that made them stand out, because I know that doesn't really seem like something that you would worry about, but I learned when I was applying to college that the way that you write these essays is actually very crucial, and it is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. So if you are applying to UBC in the fall, or if you are planning on applying anytime within the next couple of years, or even if you're not applying to UBC or literally have no plans to and just need to write college essays for another school, this video should help you, because I did find that the UBC questions that they asked on their personal profile are pretty generic, so they kind of apply to lots of other schools as well as lots of scholarships as well. I noticed the questions were very similar, so if you just need help writing essays for scholarships, college, anything like that, I hope this video helps you. Before we get into the video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. It would make me really happy if you subscribed, and give this video a thumbs up. Oh, and also, I made a TikTok account because I'm really bored on quarantine, so if you want to follow my TikTok, I post quite a bit of stuff on there. I will put it right here. My username is Studying with Lily, so you should go follow me. I'll also have the link down below in the description. But yeah, without further ado, I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to read you guys my essays. Okay, so I have all the questions right here on my laptop, and I'm just going to read them to you guys. The other thing that I wanted to mention actually before I do read them is if you want to see my grade information or my average or the classes that I took, I'm not going to be really focusing on that in this video, but I do have another video where I actually do read all my grades and stats and all that stuff. So I will have that linked down below in the description if that is something that you want to check out. But for this video, I'm going to be focusing mostly on the essays. The first thing that I kind of realized about these essays is that they're very broad questions, and I thought that that was honestly going to make it easier because I could talk about practically anything, but that almost made it a little bit harder because there's so much you could talk about and you want to talk about the most important things. So I hope that this video can kind of help you guys know what some of those most important things are. And I mean, obviously for everyone it's going to be different. No one's college essays are going to be or should be the same. But this is just kind of a rough guideline of some of the things I talked about. Okay, so the first question was, what is most important to you and why? And you had 250 words to talk about that. So something that I actually talked about for this question was my YouTube channel, actually. And honestly, I was a little nervous to talk about my YouTube channel because I wasn't sure if it was going to be taken seriously. I don't really know why I thought that. I wasn't sure if it was a good idea. But now looking back on it, I feel like that was a really good move on my part. And here's why. So I talked about how over a year ago I started creating YouTube videos about school and personal growth, and I think the really important part of this sentence was when I said over a year ago, and I feel like that definitely showed dedication and that I was able to stick to something. So if you've only had your YouTube channel for like 2 weeks prior to applying, I definitely don't recommend talking about it because they want to see stuff that you have stuck to for a long period of time. So I would choose something else that you have stuck to for a really long period of time, just in my personal opinion. And then I also talked about how I now create and post 2 YouTube videos per week. Again, I feel like that showed dedication and commitment, because 2 videos a week for over a year is quite a bit, and I feel like them saying that has proven my ability to be able to stick to something. And then I even talked about here that despite some weeks being extremely busy, I strive to my commitment to continue posting helpful content. So that shows that I have good time management skills, because even when I'm extremely busy with school and other extracurriculars, I am still managing to post 2 videos per week, which is a lot. And then I also talked about when my followers comment on a video I posted saying that it helped them in some way or inspired them to make positive changes. I find that to be the greatest reward there is. I also talked about how creating video content has helped me to learn a lot of valuable skills like video editing, filming techniques, cameras, lighting, all that stuff. I don't think I mentioned lighting here. Yeah, I mentioned editing content, filming, and camera techniques, and I really have learned so much through YouTube. And when I look back at some of my first videos, I didn't know any of that, and I feel like I've come such a long way with that, and I feel like that was a very important thing to mention, because when you're in school you don't learn those skills really, unless you're in photography or something like that, which I never took. So I feel like unless you're in photography, you don't actually learn those skills at school, so this kind of proved to them that I went out of my way outside of the classroom to teach myself a new skill, and that's And I feel like that is something that they thought was a good thing, because not everything that you're going to need in life you're going to learn in the classroom, and I feel like being able to teach yourself new skills in other ways outside of school is very positive and beneficial. I also talked about, and what is important to me, is working out. So I talked about working out very briefly, not as long as I talked about my YouTube channel because I ran out of words. But I talked about how I trained with a personal trainer to learn how to properly train and make the most out of my workouts. 5 days per week, I like to work out for an hour to improve my strength and flexibility. Again, that shows dedication, as well as saying that I was doing it to improve my strength and flexibility. I feel like that showed dedication, or not dedication, I feel like that showed that I had a goal and that I was willing to make a plan to stick to it, which is very important in university. Exercising has helped me to become more motivated and a determined individual. It has helped me to improve my overall health and become a much happier person. For those reasons, exercise is a very important part of my day-to-day life. So I feel like talking about the benefits from exercising that has made me a more motivated and determined individual, again using those words. Okay, so the next question was, tell us about who you are. How would your friends, family, or other members of your community describe you? If possible, please include something about yourself that you're most proud of and why. So this is kind of the question where you really can brag about yourself. I mean, obviously you don't want to make it sound like oh my gosh, I'm amazing or anything like that. And that was honestly a big challenge, because you want to make yourself sound good without trying to sound braggy, I guess. So I talked about how I was my best self when working towards a goal. I like to have a schedule to organize my time and prioritize my goals. I wanted to talk about that because it is something that is true about myself. Like, I do like to work towards goals. I like to have a schedule. As you guys have probably seen from my planner videos, I definitely like to have a schedule, and I like to organize my time. So I feel like that is something that I was using to describe myself, but I was also using to show my skills that I would be able to take with me to university. I consider myself outgoing and sociable, which means, I don't know, like, I feel like universities, they don't want you to just be able to study and do work in the classroom. They also want you to be able to be a good people person and get along well with people. So I feel like that was also a good sentence to put in there. I enjoy spending quality times with my friends, family, even if it's just doing something like having a dinner with my grandparents or playing a game with a close friend. I just feel like it was a very personal sentence, even though that doesn't seem super personal now when I read it. But I feel like it was a little bit more of a personal sentence than the other ones, because I'm not just talking about my organization, my productivity, all that stuff. I feel like that is very personal and kind of helps the reader to connect with me as a person. I talked about how I can be relied upon, has good time management skills, I complete tasks that are asked of me, and I'm a good problem solver. So I feel like, again, that's just good bragging about yourself, I guess, and good skills that you can take to university. For the part where it asks me what I am most proud of, and by the way, I know it said, if possible, please include something about yourself that you're most proud of, but don't leave anything blank. If it says if possible or optional, or like you only have to include one example of this or something, include as much as you can. Tell them as much about you as you possibly can, because they know nothing about you and they're making a decision about your entire future. So you want to give them as much information as possible so they can make the most informed decision possible. So I did talk about the work that I have done as a nanny that I was very proud of. I just talked about how I was very committed to my job and things like that, and that I feel like I was really proud of the work that I had done and the fact that I had stayed at that job for such a long time and things like that. I'm not showing the part because I did work with kids obviously as a nanny, and I feel like that is just not my place to share exactly with the entire internet some of the things that I wrote, but I did basically just talk about my commitment and the things that I did learn during my time working with kids, because that's not always easy, and anyone who has worked with kids or babysat knows that it's not always the easiest, but it's also very rewarding, and I just basically talked about that. But yeah, sorry, I'm not going to show that part, but I didn't write too much for that part. That was just a very small, like, couple sentence thing that I put at the end of my paragraph. Okay, now here's the part that probably a lot of you guys want to know about, my 5 extracurriculars. So you only have to write about one. Like I said, they say only one, but you should try to fill all of them up if you can, or at very least 4 of them, because they want to know about you outside of the classroom. So there is a lot of things that you can write about. You can write about clubs, volunteering, work, you can write about sports, basically anything like that. Like, you kind of have quite a few options. I can't see the options right now. It's not letting me like click on like the down arrow, but I remember there was quite a few. And then you just put your start date, your end date, or if it's ongoing, and then how often you do it. That's something that surprised me. I really didn't think they were going to ask me how often I did something per week. So that was also kind of interesting. So do keep that in mind. So the first thing I talked about was a club that I am the leader of. I talked about how I was the leader of the Health and Wellness Club, which I know not everyone gets the opportunity to be the leader of the club or a leader of a club, but I feel like that did really help me because it showed that I had good leadership skills, which is again one of those key words that they talk about. I just very briefly talked about you only have 50 words for this. Talking about developing initiatives to enhance physical and mental health among all students. Organizing this club has improved my leadership, communication, and collaborative skills. So again, I'm taking something out of my experiences, which I think helped, and then also using those keywords to kind of brag about myself, like leadership, communication skills, collaborative skills. Those are all things they look for in a university student. My second activity was volunteering. I said for the past year, again, because that shows commitment and dedication and that I've been actually sticking to something. I know you put your start date, but I still wrote that in anyway. I said I listed my responsibilities, assisting the recreation department. Everything that I do there, again, I'm going to blur that out because I'm not sure how much I'm really supposed to talk about what I do when I'm volunteering. I'm not sure if I'm not allowed to or if I'm supposed to, but basically I just talked about my responsibilities and the things that I do when volunteering. And then I said this experience has improved my organizational and problem solving skills. Again, kind of bragging about yourself and telling them about your skills, and has taught me that small gestures can make a big difference. I feel like that was a big one that was really, really helpful in my application because it taught me that small gestures can make a big difference. Again, you're taking something out of that and you're kind of showing that you're not just doing these activities for college and that you are actually learning something from it as a person, because sometimes people just do these activities for a college application and they can tell if you're just doing something for a college application or if it actually means something to you. Okay, my third activity was work or employment. Again, I feel really bad blurring so much out, but I don't necessarily want to expose things that I'm not supposed to be exposing on my YouTube channel. So basically, I just talked about my responsibilities, very brief, and then I said that's not even really the important part. That's just kind of something that you have to include so they know exactly what you're talking about and you're not just making a skills list. But I said this job has given me the opportunity to develop greater patience as well as good communication and time management skills. So I know some of these skills I am repeating more than once because there's only so many things that you can say about your activities, as I found out when I was doing this application. So it can be a little bit difficult, I know, trust me, but try to diversify the skills a little bit that you've learned and actually brainstorm what you have learned from these things. And then another club, I feel like this club was really good because it was a club at my school that focused on volunteering. So literally it was a club and volunteering. We would volunteer together as a club. So I feel like they really look for volunteering and school involvement. And this kind of fit both of those categories. So I talked about that weekly I met with this club. And as a group, we work as a community to raise money for our global and local projects. And then I said what those projects were. So I said the global project was giving clean water to a village in need. That's what we were doing with the money. And locally, we're donating money and supplies to our homeless shelter. I feel like that was great because it showed that I was a part of an organization that was helping out their community, and not just their school community, but their local community. And as well as having a global project, like being able to see the bigger picture and kind of like what was beyond you, I guess, is kind of how I thought about it when I put that sentence in there. And then my last activity was creative or performing arts. So I do aerial yoga. So I just kind of talked about how 2 times per week I attend classes for aerial dance. Again, that dedication, time commitment. These classes require self-motivation and discipline to improve my strength, flexibility, and balance. Again, having a goal and being self-motivated to achieve it. Aerial dance gives me the opportunity to express myself creatively, but also to challenge myself physically to learn new things. I feel like this is a really good one to put in there because I'm not a sports person at all. I don't do sports, honestly, but I do this. And I feel like this really rounded out my application because I talked about volunteer, jobs, clubs, and then athletics as well. So it kind of really balanced me out as a person. So if you're still in grade 10 or 11 and you are wondering what activities to join, I would suggest joining some activities that really round you out as a person, and not just doing all your activities in one area, like not having 4 different volunteer activities. While that is still a very good thing, I feel like having a well-rounded application is very important as well. Okay, the next question was, tell us more about 1 or 2 activities listed above that are most important to you. Please explain the role that you played and what you learned in the process. You will be asked for a reference. You can speak to your response, and you had 350 words for that one. So I talked about my time spent volunteering because I feel like that was very significant in my life. Again, I'm not going to tell you guys exactly what I did, but again, that's not even necessarily the important part. It's just what you have to tell them so that they understand exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, so I just wrote that my time spent volunteering has been very significant to me because it has helped me to develop important life skills and lessons. Ones that I will continue to use during my time at university and in life. So I feel like that's what they really care about. Honestly, they don't care that you spent this many hours volunteering. They don't care that you've spent, like, I don't even know, spent this many hours participating in a club at school. They care what you are going to take out of it and use at university. What skills that you learned. That's why I keep talking about these like words like leadership and time management and things like that, because that's what they care about for university. So I feel like that sentence was really good because it showed them, I like literally directly said to them, these are the skills that I will be using at your university next year if you accept me. So the skills that I said were compassion, perseverance, relationship building skills. Things that are not going to necessarily help me with academics, but just help me as a person. And they care about that almost just as much as academics, honestly. I said, furthermore, assisting the staff with activities that often involve large groups of participants has improved my organizational, planning, and project management skills. That's the part where I talked about the skills that are going to help me in my academics. So I kind of talked about both. The skills that are going to help me continue to grow as a person, and the skills that are going to help me in the classroom. Like I said, they care about both, especially now. They're starting to care more and more about both. So I feel like talking about both those things really helped my application. I also have learned to deeply value the gift of family, friends, and good health. Again, that's a little bit more personal. Helps whoever read my application to kind of connect with my essays. Another important activity is the Health and Wellness Club. So I did talk about that a little bit earlier, and that was my second activity I talked about in more detail. So I talked about how every week, again, dedication, we meet and share ideas on how we can educate students on forming healthier habits. So I kind of talked about that, basically just what our club does. And then I actually talked about something that the club did, because it's fine if we meet weekly and it's fine if we talk about healthy things or whatever, but what they want to see is that you actually did something with your time and that you actually made a significant change in your school. So I talked about how we decided there was not enough healthy options available to students. We gathered data from the student population, so we were prepared. We found 79% of our students were interested in seeing healthier options. We took the data to our school's administration and suggested more nutritious options. I've been reading for way too long. Our proposal was rejected by the administration. So you might be wondering why I included that, but I feel like that's very, very important because not everything in university or in life is going to work out perfectly. You can plan and be as organized as you want, but stuff just might not work out necessarily all the time. And I wrote about that because I feel like writing about how we were rejected and then kept trying, which I wrote about again. Following that, we created presentations to show the effects that nutrition had on student learning, things like that. And then our school now has vending machines full of nutritious snacks. So I feel like writing about that really did show my perseverance. I know a couple of times I did describe myself as very, like, had good skills of perseverance. How do you even say that in a sentence? I don't even know. But how I had good perseverance skills, which is fine and everything to say, but anyone can look up a list of good describing words and use them. But you have to be able to prove it or they don't mean anything. You know how many students that they probably see that just say certain things but aren't actually able to prove it? So if you can look at the words that you use to describe yourself and actually prove them in some way, that's really gonna make your application stand out amongst all the other ones. Okay, the last question was, you may use the space below to provide UBC with more information on your academic history and or your future academic plans. So this was optional, but like I said, don't leave anything blank even if it's optional. So for this one, I wrote about how I've taken some of my classes through online school. And I decided to write about this because it has taught me, I said right here, that it has taught me several valuable skills that will be useful to me in university. Some of these skills include self-discipline, planning, and time management. I am especially proud to say that with all my online classes, I have self-scheduled every single assignment and exam date and adhered to it without exception. My online learning experience has given me the chance to become more independent and self-motivated students, helping me prepare for my post-secondary studies. So I know not everyone has an online experience that they can write about, except, well, now with Corona, I feel like a lot more people will have an online experience to write about, but I feel like actually having that to write about and actually saying that really helped me prove my skills to them one last time. Like, I've been telling you that I am self-motivated, I've been telling you that I am disciplined and all that stuff, but I feel like actually talking about my online classes, again, really proved that statement. So you have all these words in your essays to prove statements. So I feel like in your extracurricular thing where you only have like 50 words to talk about those skills. Say, I am self-disciplined, I am self-motivated, I am a leader, I have good communication skills. Say those things in your like little 50-word bubbles, and then for all of your other questions where you can actually explain and go into detail and tell stories, those are the questions where you want to prove those skills. Because like I said, everyone's can look up things on Google and say, I am this, I am this, I am this. But if you can actually prove it to them, that is how you are going to stand out on your applications, and that is how you're going to get the best results when you are applying. Thank you guys so much for watching. I realized that I talked for a really long time and this video has gotten very, very long, and I apologize for that, but I really wanted to go into a lot of detail to hopefully help you guys. So yeah, I'm gonna end this video now because I think it's really long, but I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and if you are applying or waiting for an application decision, I wish you the best of luck, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!